L. Raphael is called Lord Rahal, Rahal. And then, of course, we hear of King Arthur, who was the embodiment of Lord Ahura. So there are other lords. There's also Lord Anata, who is in charge of the Bamba ray of sight and wisdom. There is, Lord Kahuna. Lord Kahuna is in charge of the Akashic records. He is the Lord of time. He keeps track of everything that has ever happened. There is Lord Makimzi, who is in charge of the cosmic ray of indigo, which has to do with knowledge. And then the other ones are, of course, Lady Maria. Lady Maria is the second adept in charge of the scarlet ray of mysticism. And she's considered God's divine feminine companion. That's why throughout all of history, we associate the embodiment of the sacred divine feminine to Lady Maria. So we could say that she embodied as Isis, she embodied as Mary, Mary Magdalene, Venus, Aphrodite. Those are all like personifications, or rather embodiments of the cosmic ray of Maria. Of course, we also have Lord Anata, and I think he's in charge of, I forget the ray, but they're all there in the Winds of Truth. The whole point is that there are 12 cosmic adepts. Each one is a holder of one of the 12 rays, and each cosmic adept was given a particular universe or creation to oversee. And so, we have a total of 12 creations, so we live in a 12 universe system, and that explains why everything is in the numerical order of the 12. We have the 12 chakras, we have the 12 cosmic rays, 7 major, and this is also validated through the esoteric knowledge about the 7 major rays and the 5 cosmic minor rays, a total of 12. We also have 12 mighty Elohim. We also have the 12 tribes of Israel, the 12 gods of the pantheon for the Olympians and Osiris. Every ancient culture talked about the 12 deities. We talked about the 12 houses of the zodiac, the 12 tribes of Israel, and then, of course, the 12 knights of the round table. So all these things have that one thing in common, is that they're all associated with what is known as the cosmic celestial board of the Great White Brotherhood, but on a cosmic level. And how it works is that the forces of light, the Great White Brotherhood, on a cosmic level, holographically, it also is represented on every other sphere, even beyond, in the lower dimensions. So what I mean is that just how we have the 12 cosmic adepts, who are the 12 holders of the cosmic rays, we also have, on each universe, there is a council of 12 that oversees the affairs in that particular universe. So in our universe, they are known as the Order of the Union of Days. And this is where it starts to integrate with the Urantium and the Revelation. Mm-hmm. Every universe has a different name, but they all operate under the Order of the Union of Days. In our universe, I think we are known as the Dynasty. There's another universe, they're known as the Order. Another universe is known as the, I forget the name, but each universe has a particular name to the 12 that oversee the development within each universe. Now, we could also take the concept of the 12 into lower levels of existence, such as in galactic spheres. So we could say that there is also a council of 12 that oversees the affairs of each local galaxy. So it is the same governing body that is replicated on every level of reality, from the cosmic celestial board of the 12 cosmic adepts. And what they are is they're really rays that are personified, that have, they're conscious, they're living entities that, fragment themselves in order for each level beyond that, lower than that, could also have the same concept overseeing that development. So what the rays do is they through a filter process, they filter their power, and then they allow that power to be manifested through their offspring. So you could say that the 12 cosmic rays also have offspring. And the offspring of the 12 cosmic rays are the creator gods and goddesses of all local universes. So they always come in pair, again, representing the balance between the always existing, celestial, the what is called the core of the universe of the Godhead. The universe of the Godhead is eternal. Has never been created or destroyed, which is equivalent to the central universe of Hevona as revealed in Urantia. So again, we see those comparisons. So in each universe, there is a balance between the divine feminine and the divine masculine, which is what is known as Gyros. Gyros. Thank you. Gyros Gamos, which is bringing together a very in a balanced way the union of the sacred divine feminine and sacred divine masculine. So each universe has a Omni King and an Omni Lord, and these are the children of the 12 cosmic celestial adepts who are overseeing all the universes in development. And now there is a 13th ray that is emerging. It is known as the ray of Francella Gabriel, and that is the ray that is replacing the old ray that used to be held by Samana, who was the original Lucifer, and that was known as the non-cosmic black ray of Kaladin. And the non-cosmic black ray of Kaladin, which evolved out of the 11th universe, and this ties into my research that out of the 11th universe, we had the first AI, which is what they call now the ancient alien AI, that has been wreaking havoc throughout the multiverse. It all had its origin because of the non-cosmic black ray of Kolodham that was, and the adept for that was Samana. So Samana fell. Samana was one of the 12 cosmic adepts of the 12 cosmic rays of power. And that's where we technically get the concept of the 12 archetypes. And we can see that reflected in everything, in astrology, numerology, tarot card readings. It's all connected with the esoteric sciences. So a new ray has been born. And that ray is known as the ray that silences the noise of war. It is the ray that puts an end to all that is conflict, which is held by Gabriel. Gabriel has been promoted as the son of Lord Michael, as the 13th cosmic ray, and that explains why we are now entering and why the Earth is going to be the germinating seed that is going to kickstart the 13th cosmic ray, or the 13th cosmic creation. So now we're entering the 13th creation, and Earth is going to be at the center of that. And the adept overseer of that new creation, which is known as the 13th, is going to be Lord Francella Gabriel, and he's already living among us. And what I mean by that is that throughout history, these cosmic adepts have had an opportunity to incarnate. You know, during the times of Lemuria, we had Lord Kahana and Lord Mackenzie incarnate. During the times of Atlantis, we had Lord, I think his name was Lord Rahal as well. So the whole point is that throughout every civilization, throughout every period, there's times when these cosmic rays incarnate in human form. You know, Jesus Christ was actually the incarnating first Lord, known as the Lord of the Silver Ray, which is Chesius. And he's also the one that was given the first universe. So he was the adept of the first universe. And of course, he incarnated, 2,000 years ago as Joshua. And then we had King Arthur, who was Lord Ahura, in charge of the fifth ray of perfume and I forget it's something to do with amethyst. No, I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, he's amethyst.
Amethyst.
Yeah,
the ray of amethyst.
Right. Yeah. Not to correct you, but you don't have the chart in front of you, so it's fine.
Yeah, I'm just going by memory.
I know you are.
All right. So
one big issue, and I wanted to get people to understand that there's a cosmic order.
There is.
And whether we're here on the Earth, and whether it's an ancient civilization or it's right now, because all of it comes forward to now times. The White Brotherhood, it's here.
And we see that throughout history.
He actually said it, and I don't want to jump ahead too far, but he did say it in the writings from the Winds of Truth that the Order of the Holy Grail will rise again, and he actually has a knighthood blessing in it. And with it's positive, it's light. It's not. There's no darkness here, except for Samana on the black non-cosmic ray, and that's a whole other discussion.
Yeah, so, and he has been replaced. By the way, he's no longer in power, and that explains why the dark side here in our world has lost the war, and throughout the multiverse.
Yep. So time was up.
Time was up.
His time is up. So you mentioned that. In chapter 8 of your earlier book, The Secret Government, which you're gonna be republishing that too.
I'm game. I got a hold of somebody who's got the files, but it's a big story. I'm gonna have to give him some money for it. He's not just giving it away.
Oh,
back into print because there's so much information in that book that actually ties in with our cosmic origin. You know.
right. It's fantastic because some of the things you covered in there, like what I'm going to get to right now, is it's chapter 8, the Brotherhood of Light. It gets into details about King Arthur that you haven't really been able to been able to talk about. You really was focused more on the biblical history, some of the Atlantean, a little bit of the Lemurian, and we jumped to the Knights Templar. But there was a whole situation that happened over a 1,000-year period between, and people don't really know this, but King Arthur had incarnated earlier in 750 BC and set a foundation and received the Holy Grail and implanted it in the earth with Lord Michael and with Jesus overseeing this whole situation. So it's very, very important that people understand that part of our history has not been told properly.
And altogether they're considered the Dark Knights, right? And then you also have now the way the Knights Templars reorganized after they were infiltrated is they first became Masons, but then even the Masons became infiltrated. Eventually, all secret societies become infiltrated. That's how the Brotherhoods operate. They always infiltrate each other. So you have the good Knights infiltrating the bad Knights, through the Catholic Church, and that's going back to about 1,000 years ago, at the peak of the Middle Dark Ages. That was Bernard de Clairvaux. Bernard de Clairvaux was the one who was working for the Holy Order of the Grail, which they called, according to the Da Vinci Code, the Priority of Zion. But the real name of the inner order that the Knights Templars were protecting in medieval times was the Holy Order of the Grail. And again, that was established in collaboration with King Arthur, Michael, and Jesus. And it has to do with the sacred divine bloodline. It has to do with the blueprint of the Holy Grail, the original Holy Grail that can be traceable back to Michael. And so what they did is they infiltrated the Catholic Church from within, and that's how they were able to charter the order under the guise that they were out to protect the Holy Land from the invading Muslims and other groups that wanted to take over Jerusalem. Eventually, the Catholic Church started discovering that the same the same order that they chartered was actually the people that were behind the Reformation, the Scientific Revolution, and the Renaissance. And of course, eventually, when they found out that they were actually the enemy, they were the ones that were trying to bring us out of the Dark Ages, right? The Holy Order of the Grail and the Knights Templars. However, the Knights Templars did succeed in creating certain societies that lasted for a couple hundred years outside of the vision or outside of the territory or surveillance of the Catholic Church. And that was known as the Cathars of France. The Cathars of France suffered a very terrifying massacre known as the Albigensian Crusade. And the Cathars existed about, I would say, in the 1200s. You could say 1200s, right before 1300s.
1300s,
and,
yeah.
1300s, and they were a flourishing society. They were a commonwealth, and basically the Commonwealth of Nations, or what we call the Republic, has been the principles of government that have always been, associated with the Knights Templars, the Holy Order of the Grail, traceable back to the Brotherhood of Light, where it began in Atlantis, Lemuria, and Egypt. And so it is the same concept that the Dark Brotherhood has been trying to eradicate for thousands of years. And it is through these benevolent secret societies that the good guys have been able to maintain the principles of freedom, democracy, justice, and righteousness, so on and so forth.
That's where we are. That's where we are right now.
The White Hats are. The White Hats are the
right.
embodiment of the Knights, of what the Knights Templars began. Of course, they're not called that anymore. They're under different names. They always evolve into different names, right? After they get persecuted, they, reorganize to something else.
Over and over.
Exactly. So, we see this reorganization over and over on both sides, both the White Hats and the Dark Hats.
Yeah. So, when you get into chapter 19 in your book, and we did take you there, and we did not mean to make you read. When you read, I don't know if you remember that interview. You've had so many, but oh my goodness, Lemuria, and those areas rose, and Glastonbury is one, and Egypt is another, and Tibet is another. But then over here, this was supposed to be Zion, America, right? So before that, and Zion means
the free world,
promised land, right?
Promised land, yeah. If you go back to Abraham, if you go back to the pact, the covenant that was established between Abraham and Melchizedek. Mm-hmm. That's what Zion means. Zion means the Holy Land, the Promised Land, the land of milk and honey, the land of opportunity, freedom, where everybody prospers, there is no elite or oligarchs. And that's what's been the Brotherhood of Light through the Knights Templars millennial project, and that explains the founding fathers and how they inherited that blueprint to eventually manifest it. But they did try a few times in Europe, and to no avail, of course, because Europe at that time was a huge despot controlled by the Jesuits and the Bavarian Illuminati, which was organized by Adam Weishaupt.
Yeah. So, there's always using prudence and always having our connection to our higher source, our God, right? Our higher power. So, please comment anytime. Interrupt me.
Yeah, one of the things I wanted to point out is that Princess Diana is of the lineage of King Arthur. She
All right, you're breaking up.
not been.
Please repeat that. Wait.
Actually, are a Germanic. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Could you just repeat? You just spoke about Princess Diana and her lineage. So could you
Princess Diana's lineage can be traceable back to Queen Arthur of the courts of Wessex and the Knights of the Round Table.
Mm-hmm. I believe that.
The imposters have been ruling England for a few hundred years, but they actually are a Germanic tribe, and they have a different last name. But they changed their name to the Windsors about 300 years ago in order to fool the people.
Right.
And so that's why they hated Princess Diana, because she came from the rightful lineage of King Arthur. In other words, she was a descendant of Jesus and Mary Magdalene. And it appears that a lot of the founding fathers, at least those that were associated with the preservation and protection of the Republic, such as Thomas Jefferson, as opposed to Alexander Hamilton, who was working for the Cabal, and of course Lincoln and General Ulysses Grant and all these heroes, Andrew Jackson, everybody that fought the implementation of the Federal Reserve, who eventually there was an attempt to kill, Kennedy. They were all part of the same lineage that could be traceable back to the bloodline that the Knights Templars were protecting in medieval times.
Oh, that's fascinating. It talked about Arthur in his first life materializing on the Mount of Michael in Wessex, and then Galahad was living that time as I think his name was Alfric, and then in the times of King Arthur, it talked, and this is all coming off the Winds of Truth material, that Galahad had materialized at the age of 16, how he materialized, and then King Arthur was born of the lineage from Uther, King Uther and Lady Igraine. But they were not married. It wasn't an earth marriage, but it does say that it was a divine union. So you had the angelic, the male-female balance, the twin flame balance in the conception of King Arthur. That was a divine conception. And he had the lineage through, I believe it was Uther. It could have been through Lady Igraine. I don't know, like an angelic being. All of these angelic beings.
Well, they manifest angelic forms, but they're really just cosmic entities. Essentially, ultimately, they have no form. They're just pure energy. They're rays. But the rays could materialize physical form. And that explains that, there are different embodiments or aspects of the ray that incarnate. And when a ray is that powerful, it could actually incarnate and operate, hundreds or even perhaps thousands of avatars all at the same time. And it's just that one ray operating the different bodies.
It's fascinating. It's from the very beginning. When I first read your book, I was just all about those rays. So that's how it happened for me. That's how I was able to find the Unahin script. Because of you, I didn't know about it. So I went and dug. So
yeah, I was told by Lord Michael, that I would be the one that was going to bring that to the forefront to the masses. A document that has been recently suppressed by the Dark Brotherhood for over 70-something years or 80. And he told me that because of my book that I would allow for a re-emergence, back into circulation, the winds of truth, the Unahin script, because, they were restored to us by Michael. Michael is the author. Mikael, because some people are asking, well, who wrote the Winds of Truth?
Michael.
That was written by our 12th cosmic adept, Lord of the Clusian ray of power and rulership, and that explains why in our galaxy we see the reflection of the Clusian solar ray of power characterized in the big blue star Sirius B, and that's why Sirius B is what brought the office of the Christ to our galaxy.
That makes complete.
Great central sun, the central sun of the universe, or the first universe. Or as what I call in my book, the central universe, gave birth to the 12, solar cosmic rays, solar planes, whatever you want to call them. They're all one and the same. Inside the sun, there are beautiful landscapes and beautiful gardens and civilizations. It's physical reality, but operating at different dimensions. So if we were to go there with our third dimensional perception, we would see nothing. But the sun, just like most planets, they're hollowed out. They do have an inner core, which acts as an inner sun that radiates, life, nourishment. But yeah, the inhabitants of the sun actually live inside. They don't live outside.
Mm-hmm. So, in terms of our upgrades,
Mm-hmm.
the sun is playing a big part right now,
Yes.
and triggering us, just like your information. I don't know. It's still triggering me. It's going to continue. Let's just keep
Well,
going.
well, no, it's the one that I started about almost 2 years ago, but I recently started using it again just because there is a lot of other YouTube channels that are gathering all my interviews and putting them in their YouTube channel, and it's not mine. So I'm trying to just let everybody know that I do have an official YouTube channel. It's under Project Space Restoration _ Zion. That's the name of my YouTube channel, and I will be using it. I will be trying to put as many interviews in there as possible so that way people could catch all my intel all in one spot. And of course, all the stuff that I put out on social media, on Instagram and Facebook, I'm also going to be putting on my YouTube channel. So that way everybody gets all my content in one spot and they could just blow, yeah, exactly, get through it. And it makes it for everybody because we're trying to be professional. Make sure that this I'm also adding a new chapter that's going to segue into the next book. So it's going to be good. And all the services are going to the creator. One thing I want to mention is that we're now going into the system of the 13th. So
the life and love force, the seeding of that life and love force into the bowl of the grail, and that was implanted in the earth. It was 750 BC, or maybe a little bit after that. So it's been in the earth, but it's rising again.
Mm-hmm.
The whole
Through
earth.
the descendants of the
The
Grail.
whole earth.
Yeah, through the descendants of the ancient druids that that come from the lineage of David and Solomon, Jesus and Mary.
So just one last thing about Jesus and Mary Magdalene. I wanted to just revisit this. So you mentioned I have some other esoteric material that validates this. The marriage at Cana is actually the union of Jesus and Mary Magdalene, and you mentioned that Mary Magdalene had her own order, divine order, and so where did you get that? Could we know what that was from? The information.
That was a download.
It was a download. Okay.
I'm actually in
you have to write about it.
With Lord Michael right now. Lord Michael is the one feeding me all my intel. Yeah, how can I say it? I bypass the galactics. I go straight to the 12 cosmic atoms, Michael.
I'm with you. They grabbed me. I'll tell you that much. This stuff wasn't from me. It was
exactly, and that also ties in with the last chapter of our cosmic origin. The last two chapters. The last two chapters of our that are in the secret government, and the last two chapters in our cosmic origin, they very well integrate very well together. Yeah.
So there's enough here for another interview. But meanwhile, I promise I'll put all of this information in the notes. And I'm so honored to have you here again. Is there anything else that you want to talk about before we sign off?
Just to be aware that Enki has returned, and he's been conducting some unlawful abductions, mainly women that claim to be Galactic Federation emissaries. Of course, we know who the main one is. I've already exposed her as an infiltrator. Can't even say it. Horgentros.
Trojan horse.
Trojan horse. Thank you.
Trojan horse. It's okay. You're allowed.
and so just be aware that his operations are also being curtailed by the higher Guardian Alliance that is overseeing our Earth and our galaxy beyond the Galactic Federation. So
you were mentioning the way people, especially women or whoever, do your meditation, connect to your God, your higher power, your higher self. Give yourself that space in the morning. Take a bath in spirituality before you set foot outside of your home or get on the computers or whatever. Hold yourself in that higher position and keep your light shining, because they can't touch us when we stand in our power. And that's what we need to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then anyone that is promoting Enki has been severely deceived or are in themselves compromised. Just be aware of those false prophets that are promoting Enki as the it was at the head of the through his son Marduk Belial called Satan.